Thanks, Deb. So next week we had a bit of a reshuffle. So at this stage we've got Shane next week, followed by Sarah the following week, Kieran, Jake, Palau and Gary on the 5th. But now it's my pleasure to introduce this week's feature presenter, Uwe von Czapiewski, who holds a category of commercial electrician in the group. Elekmark Industries, and he's been doing 34 years.
I don't want to be here.
Uwe's married to Jocelyn. They live in Stroud, up in God's country, along with their pets, a horse, 5 cooks, a rooster and a cat. They also have 2 adult sons, Shawnee and Stephen.
Son and daughter.
Sorry?
Son and daughter. Daughter.
Daughter.
Shawnee. Daughter.
Apologies. Son and daughter. So some of Uwe's hobbies and interests include trail bike riding, motorcycle camping, and he's a huge fan of Formula 1 and Star Trek. And some of his previous jobs include technical service ops at the State Rail Authority of New South Wales and repairing Bet 3400 bookmakers terminals for AWA. Uwe's burning desire to have a comfortable lifestyle and travel to every Formula 1 race on the calendar. So now I'll hand over to you, mate, but if you could let us know something that no one knows.
Okay. Back in the 80s, there was a place in Tomago called the Newcastle International Motordrome. And at that stage, I used to race fender benders. And that was contact racing, so we were allowed to spin our competitors out in front of us. So it was pretty good fun. And during that time, we travelled pretty much all over the state and interstate. And on a trip to Dubbo, decided to take on a train at a level crossing. So managed to walk away from it, both of us, so we're pretty lucky that way. And I still remember it hit the middle bogey of the second bogey of the middle loco. It was just 3 locomotives on their way to pick up a wheat train out there. So the timing was pretty impeccable. So yeah, and that was 4711 was the number of the locomotive. Because at the time I was working for State Rail, so I could go onto the LMIS system and look it up. so it wasn't fun at the time, but yeah. Okay, one of my other hobbies, you know, is I like to do cross-country navigational rallies. And that was last year at the Sunraysia Safari, about probably 2 hours before I come off and broke my shoulder. So I'm all booked in for the next one this year. All right. A good referral for me is the solar system installation. Just a little bit of a run through on a solar system. Basically, you've got your panels on the roof. They can be either just your standard panels or smart panels or fitted with power optimizers. You'll have your inverter, which actually controls the power from that and puts it into the grid. Now, solar storage is a big thing, so there's a lot of people getting batteries to go with that. And then your EV charger to charge your EV vehicle. There's also a number of little gizmos that can be added to the system to control certain things like your hot water system, air conditioners, so they tend to come on while your solar system is operational. So with your solar systems, you get your cheap systems that everybody sees online. You can get a 6.6 kilowatt for $3,500. That is pretty much basically the cheapest that the companies can get out of China. And what happens with those is if those sort of systems, if you get any sort of shading or problems with a particular panel, that whole string will go down. So with that 6 kilowatt system, could be 2 strings in that. If you've got one faulty panel or one gets shaded, half of that system will go down, you won't get your full production. With slightly better systems, if you've got the smart panels or the power optimizers fitted to it, that, is there a little thing on here? Basically, like if one system gets a little bit of shading, one panel, it only affects that particular panel. And the system will then tell you which panel it is. So if that panel goes faulty or it's dirty or something, you can get that checked up. So it makes your fault finding a lot easier and a little bit cheaper for you if there is a problem. With each system nowadays, there's always a monitoring system that comes with it, so you can see how your system is performing. This is a system we put in for a client in Gloucester that had a 10 kilowatt battery included in the system. So basically you can, is there a, how do you get the little button? The star? Oh, there we go. So you can see here during the day, this is over a 3-day period. The system has been charging the battery up to full charge during the day. Excess has been going into the grid, so they've been getting a bit of money for that. And then during the evening, the battery has been feeding what they've got during the night, and then it recharges again during the day. So there's obviously been a little bit of cloud cover on this day, so the battery takes over for that. So, and this is in the middle of winter, so pretty much they're paying virtually no power, only a little bit 12% for that whole 3-day period where they've been actually having to pay. So come summertime, that'll pretty much cancel out pretty well. So with batteries, there's 4 ways that batteries can be used in a solar system. You can go totally off grid if you so desire. You can use it as a UPS or a battery backup. There are some businesses that do that in particular, so they can, if there's a blackout or a brownout, they can keep their fridges going, or service stations keep their petrol pumps going so they can keep their business running. Tends to happen out west a little bit more, where they have some problems out there. The main thing that people use is to mitigate their export power, so they tend to use the power themselves as opposed to buying it from the grid. So your export, basically get nothing for it nowadays. You're probably getting maybe 7 cents per kilowatt hour, whereas you're buying it at 35. So this way you can use your battery and still save that 35 cents of an evening. The big thing that's coming in now is what they call a virtual power plant. So this is what a lot of the energy companies are trying to get people to use their batteries for, is where they can take control of your battery and then use some of the power of that to supply to the grid. And for that power, you get paid for that, which is negotiable with them. They have their set rates. Don't ask me what it is, but and then there's also certain times of an evening where power goes negative, where because they can't shut the power stations down, so the power stations are actually paying people to take the power. And during that time, the power companies can recharge your batteries at no cost while they're doing that. So this is how the virtual power plant works. You've got your solar system with your battery. Sun obviously charges up your batteries and that. And then the power companies can utilise that. That can be programmed into the system as to how much you want them to use, so they won't just drain your battery totally. So, and then that goes into the grid. Heaps of different batteries on the market. You've got your Tesla battery that everybody knows about. You've got these liquid flow batteries. Then there's the lithium ion phosphate. They tend not to burst into flames as much. You have your LG batteries. Now, if you know anybody that's got an LG battery that looks like that, there's currently a recall on for all LG batteries worldwide because they did have a problem with it. They're about 80% through getting them all replaced. So if you know anybody that's got one, or you've got one, you can ring LG or let us know. We can come out. There's an app we can put the serial number in, and then that'll tell you whether that's due for for replacement or not. And that's obviously a free replacement by LG. The company's been really, really good with this. They could have easily walked away, but they didn't. Okay, what to listen for? Basically, just listen out for people that are complaining about their power bill. Power bills are starting to spike. They're going to go up probably 20-30% this year and again next year. So just listen out for people that are complaining about their power. And if you do, just say you work closely with somebody that can help them with that situation. You get 1 or 2 answers out of this. You might say no, doesn't matter. Just fine, move on. Or if they say yes, you can just say, fine, would you like me to give them a call? They may say no again, they want to call themselves, that's okay, that's fine, just give my card number. but just ask them the question that, you know, if I haven't heard from them in the next week or a week, 2 weeks, if it's okay for me to give them a call. They'll either say yes or no. So, yeah, that's it. Let us give you peace of mind by looking after all your solar needs and putting the sun in a bottle for you. Live long and prosper.
Awesome presentation. So everyone, get in touch with me for all your